So let's talk about bass amps and what I think, at least for me, is the best practice amp and cab setup I've ever had in a home studio. Since my big switch to Ampeg amps at the end of last year, at the end of 2023, I've been playing the Venture series, the V3, their 300 watt head. I've been playing it on tour, on the road. I've been using it in my studio with the 410, the Venture 410 cabinet. And I've been playing it around town at local gigs, you know, stuff like the Baked Potato. The 410, the V3, it's an amazing combination. It sounds phenomenal. It's one of the reasons I switched amps in the first place. And now I've just moved house. I've moved into a new home studio space and I'm 2 flights down from street level. So there's no way, even as light as the 410 is, there was just no way I was going to lug that up and down the stairs for both practice in my studio and to put it in the car and go play gigs around town. So I reached out to Ampeg and had them send me a brand new cabinet, a much smaller, a much more stripped down size for the studio. And here it is. It's a 210. It's such a baby cab. Having spent the last months humping the 410 around and using it with everything I do, I've been out with Steve Smith and Vital Information. I have another 410 that lives on the road with that band. So I really have so much experience with that much larger cabinet. I just unboxed this yesterday, put it in my studio here. Got to say, right out of the box, one thing I love about it is the fact that it will sit upright like this because it has rubber feet, not only on this side of the cabinet, but on this side too. So you can stack them on top of each other. You can put it flat on the floor. But when I'm really pushed for space, when I'm trying to maximize the amount of space I have in this not crazy big room that is going to be my home studio, the vertical situation for the cabinet is a really nice solution for my needs. And to me, what will make it the perfect practice home studio amp setup, monitoring setup essentially, is the fact that I'll take the lowest powered amp, the lowest powered head in the range. There's this, the V3, the V7 and the V12. I'll take the lowest powered, the lightest one, throw it on top of the cabinet, and boom, I have a practice situation. It has a DI on it. I can record with it. I have recorded a ton of the videos that you see here on YouTube using the DI of the V3. So to me, that's what makes this one of the most effective small amp setups for a home studio I've ever seen. And what I also have for you in this video is an unboxing of what I'm going to be taking out on the road. It's not like I ever really hit the maximum ceiling of power in the V3. I don't play that loud on stage. I don't play massively loud gigs, but I do see that happening in the future on slightly louder gigs, maybe bigger festival gigs. I'm leaving in a week to go play a massive festival. And my solution for that, having tried the V12, which again is an amazing sounding amp, it has the B15 emulator, it has the SVT emulator in it. It's a ton of power, way more than I needed with a 410 for a jazz kind of fusion gig on the road, a trio gig, which is what I've been doing more of recently. So since I tried all of these amps, the very first time I went to Ampeg to see if I was even going to move to that company, I tried the V7 and I finally have one here to unbox for you in the video. Got to say, of all of the latest products I've had from Ampeg, the V7, the V3, the V12, the SGT DI, the packaging has definitely taken a step up. I really dig these boxes. Super robust and a nice unboxing experience. And here it is, the V7 700 watt head. Oh, it's in another bag inside here. And here it is. It's it's the first time I've held one of these in my hands since I first tried them out almost a year ago at Yamaha, at Ampeg here in California. It's a meaty head. You definitely feel the difference. It's a little bit heavier. Obviously, the dimensions a little bit larger. I'm going to put them side by side or one on top of the other to give you an idea and give you a view of the rear panel. But this is what I'm going to be taking on tour whenever I leave and get on a plane and go and play larger gigs. I'm going to be using the V7, a ton more headroom, something that I think I'll never be sort of left in a pinch with. And I also have one of these, they have these really nice carry bags now. Another thing that's massively upgraded, fits in super snug, and it's really nice and padded. It's nice to hold. There's a shoulder strap. There's enough space in the front for cables and your speak-on cable, power cable, all that kind of stuff. Really nice little accessory that I'm a big fan of. Actually kind of like using those bags for other stuff as well, not just for amps. And what all of this is helping me do on both fronts, both the practice room, my studio here, where I do like to play with an amp. I don't like to do everything on in-ears. I like that realistic feedback from the amp. Even though I can't really play or even don't want to play at stage volume in such a small space, there is something about maintaining that element of playing the amp, playing the feedback from the speaker cabinet and knowing what that feels like in the fingers, not just doing everything on headphones or in-ears when you practice. And with all of these items that I'm showing you here in this video, what I'm doing is streamlining my approach to both the live situation and the practice situation at home. In fact, I'm going to give you a little sneak preview into something I'm making a big video on coming very soon. It's a mini board. Look at this thing. I have a DI, I have an HX Stomp, and right now I have the vintage bass Octave on here. That's a really small pedal board for just grab and go sideman gigs where I don't need to be featured, making all the crazy sounds that I'm known for. And it all fits in one of these little mono TIC 2.0 bags. So between this mono bag and this Ampeg bag, we're really not taking up so much space. And this can all go, because I love to check bags, this all goes in my checked luggage. I don't have to carry anything as I walk through airports and make connections and roam around the world. So that's my new way forward in terms of gear, in terms of kind of paring everything down and really only using exactly what I need. Of course, there are going to be times where I do need to take a larger pedal board. There are going to be times on stage where I do want to have a stereo setup with a pair of 410s and a pair of V7s. But the older I get, I'm finding there's a place for everything, and that place is quite often on the miniaturized side of things, especially when I want to make the most out of this space. I want to build out this studio, do audio treatments to the walls, really design it, create a set, create something that you want to come back and watch on a regular basis here on YouTube. And the more serious I take that, the more nerdy and in-depth I get into the smaller solutions. I don't need to be rocking out at full volume, and something like this is kind of the perfect tool to do that. It gives me the bump, it gives me the feeling, it moves some air. There is air moving in this speaker cabinet, but it doesn't destroy the foundations of the house. It doesn't destroy my ear. It doesn't destroy my family's nerves. And I think probably the most important thing about all of this is no matter what the situation, all these tools I've chosen to use give me an inspirational place to start, an inspirational place to explore, and a way to kind of be free and not worry about any of the peripherals, any of the external stuff. They all do their job really well. All the things I've placed on this mini board, for instance, the components of my live setup, the components of my studio setup, they're all starting to have greater purpose and meaning and intent than they ever have done before in my life. And I hope that gives you a little look into how you don't need to be extravagant. You don't need the biggest and the most headroom and the most watts and the most speakers and all of that stuff in order to really get the job done effectively. I hope you dug the video. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel and keep coming back regularly to check on the progress of this chaos around me that I'm filming in, because I've literally just moved in here a week ago. Come and check back in on the progress of how we make this room sound less boomy and make it into a mixing and listening room and a filming room and create sets and really put all of this stuff I've just been talking about in the video through its paces and into action.